for those who
inside of the
are
room.
logging this. I think the Wikipedia page should be reflected that it is freezing in here.
Daily
in here,
Yeah.
freezing. It's Monday, and the weird thing about Mondays is that we're coming back into this covering whatever news happened or anything important, and nothing important has happened. There is no news.
That's it for the show today.
That's it for our show. But I do have a couple things I want to talk about. First, I have some follow up. So for those of you who are watching at home, as I hope you are, lots of people, Hattie, I just want to say a lot of people are tuning in at home finally.
Good.
On the video. Not
I'm
just
glad.
audio, video. We're actually, I want to see that the video overtakes the audio. Do you think that we'll
I
do that?
hope
You think
so.
we'll get to
That's
that?
where we want to be.
Okay. So what I'm holding up here, is this legal to show money on?
I think to show money
To
is
show
fine.
money?
Yes, I think that's
Okay. This is a $5 bill. So remember last week we talked about what it was like to scan or whatever, and so then we have a new intern whose name is actually, this is the best part of it. I
She
hired
does
her.
not know the
She does
inside
not know
joke.
this, but 50% of the reason why I hired her is because her name is Grace. And if that doesn't make sense to you, that's okay. It just means you haven't listened to Back to Work, the show that I do with Merlin Mann. But there's a movie, Glengarry Glen Ross, and one of the jokes that Merlin has always made whenever I would talk to one of my employees or interns or something here
off mic.
off mic, I would lean over to the side and say, could you please get me so there's a funny scene in Glengarry Glen Ross where Jack Lemmon's character is referring to a made-up and invisible assistant whose name is Grace. So it's like, Grace, can you please prepare for me the overnight bag with about $150,000 in cash and the first-class tickets over TWA. So now I actually have my own real-life Grace. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Yep, that's her name now, Real Life Grace.
So last week we were talking. So we were scanning in since she's just starting. When a new employee comes on or an intern or whatever, you get to make sure that they're legit, and you get to scan in their like driver's license and stuff for our secret records. And so we scanned in her driver's license, and it looked bizarre. It looked like all inverted and weird. And I said, well, I wonder what would happen if we scanned in it. So this is just a regular $5 bill. We're not going to be able to show this close. This whole segment is probably pointless. But I'm not sure how much they're... Where's my over-the-shoulder camera? Leo has one? Why don't I have one? Leo has one.
Grace.
Grace, can you arrange for a over-the-shoulder camera, please? I would like to be able to show them what this looks like. So what I'll do is I'll take a picture of this and upload it. But I don't know if you can... See, this is useless. But if they can see nothing.
Oh.
There. But it looks weird. It's like they intentionally did something really weird to it.
Sure
like
that
it blocked out, it pixelated different areas of it. So anyway, I would like some listeners to try and scan in their money or take photographs of their money and send it down. I'm at Dan Benjamin on Twitter.
Send it to us.
Scan your money and send it to me.
That's not good.
I also have a little story that I want to tell. We've got two great sponsors today, Tripcase and Wealthfront. I've told you about Wealthfront, and some people have suggested that I should go and do my best speed read of Wealthfront and then speed it up a little bit more and just have like a soundbite that I could just hit and have it, it do the soundbite for me, the little thing. So I'm thinking about doing that. I may try that because I love this sponsor, but that disclaimer is killing me. And we have also got a new one called Tripcase, which are very cool. I'll tell you about those more as the show continues. But I have a little dilemma. I already told you about this morning when you finally showed up to work, hours late.
Hours, yeah.
But so here's what's going on. And by the way, I'm telling you, wait, hit the inside baseball sound. Do it.
It's inside baseball. Tell us your secrets, Dan.
Okay. A little bit of inside baseball this morning. Is this microphone here right now? I don't know if you can see this from here. Let me see if you can. Okay, this is a better shot of it here in the room shot. You see this? I have this mounted to the desk. This is a very long, so she said, stick that comes up that suspends the mic in front of me. So if I'm like this, it looks pretty good, right? This looks fine. in these shots. This one, it starts looking a little sketchy. And this one, it looks like a giant pogo stick out in front of me. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, the head-on shot is the best.
Yeah, this one, you wouldn't know how ridiculous this stick boom is. On yours is fine. Your boom looks great.
I love it.
I just want to bring my regular boom back in here. It's the one thing I feel like it's holding me back from reaching my full potential, to realize
Then go
my
and get
maximum
it.
potential.
Yeah.
It's like you want me to fail.
I don't.
Because if I had a regular boom, I'd have it coming out over here, but it would be blocking this beautiful set that I have. And by the way, I made 2 new additions to the set.
Yes, you did. Can they see the additions? Or
The people listening probably will not be able to see them, but perhaps you could, if you can identify who they are, I will point to them with this dribble pencil, with my dribble pencil.
That is a red robot that you have added and a gray robot that you have added.
I was inspired to add the red and the gray robot title because the red robot is Maximilian and the gray robot is Vincent, both of whom are from the amazing movie, 1979 movie, The Black Hole. And the reason that I've been thinking about The Black Hole so much is because my son and I watched it for his show, Cash's Corner, which is a brand new show we've got here on 5x5, premiering that is all about it. So we did 2 episodes of the specials, 5x5 specials with him, and people enjoyed them and said, give him his own show. And I thought that'd be a neat way for him to start saving for college. We'll get it sponsored. And we did get it sponsored, and so he's going to go to college now.
Woo!
Now we'll be able to send him to college. But it's a wonderful show. He convinces me to get the Apple Watch, and also does a review of The Black Hole, and he does a review of the Speed Racer.
Oh, good.
So this segment that we're doing is like stuff I thought was cool when I was 7. He's going to watch and see if it still stands up. So you'll have to tune in to find out if, and he'll have tech commentary.
I like
and
that.
his insights. Cash's Corner, brand new show on 5x5. That if Hattie, when you're done with the artwork, if
what I'm working on right now.
Okay, if that's today, this is the one time I'm allowed for her to yawn and multitask.
Yeah, yawn and multitask.
Yeah,
I'm not feeling yawning
because I know
today
it's a big commitment for you to be here.
Huge
5 days a week.
commitment.
So thanks for doing that. Anyway, that concludes the Inside Baseball segment for today's show. And now on to the big news. Griffin's iTrip. This is the best device I've ever seen in my whole entire life, because how long have you wanted to... So look at it. First of all, this is a 9 to 5 Mac, Jeremy Horowitz writing. Griffin's iTrip Bluetooth adds wireless iPhone music streaming to your car's stereo. How many of you have a car that does not yet have Bluetooth, that doesn't have Bluetooth, right? Yeah. Grace is raising her hand. But you want to be able to stream to it. So look at what this thing has. This is the coolest thing ever. I swear this is like about time. You've all seen those little power adapters that you plug into your cigarette lighter port. Now they don't even put the lighter in there anymore. It's called a power port, which is great. Bravo. Less smoking. Good. Well, this looks just like the kind that you would plug to charge, but instead it is a Bluetooth transmitter, and it has an output, 3.5 millimeter stereo output, that will plug ostensibly into your audio input, because most places do, most cars do have some kind of auxiliary input, even if they don't have Bluetooth. I had a car that didn't even have that. But this, basically, you would then stream from your phone to this device, which is then going to convert into the auxiliary into your car. Genius, super simple, genius design. It has a little flashing blue light that lets you pair. I think this thing is genius. The only downside is it doesn't also charge. But I think you feel like asking too much for that, to also have it be a charger.
Yeah,
you know
I
what I'm
can see
saying?
that. It's like that would just be too much to ask of one tiny device.
I don't think it'd be
Maybe
too much
later.
to ask, but yeah, I want this. So if you have a car, this is the gizmo of the week. How do you do gizmo of the week soundbite?
It's the gizmo of the week. It's the gizmo of the week.
We got to get on that. So I had a phone call with none other than Daniel Jackson, who's done some other music for us in the past, and I played for him the clip from our friend Jeff Canada.
Story of the week, it's the story of the week. Story of the week, it's the story
The best song
It's the
ever.
best song ever.
I can listen to it all day.
Every time I play it,
You feel happy.
I get my man crush on Jeff Canada goes up one notch.
Yeah. I feel like we should have a photo of Jeff Canada that you can just switch to.
Put it in there.
Okay. Well, it's in there.
Oh, Jeff Canada is in there in the
Yep.
shots?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
You could just make a new shot of just his face.
No, I'm duplicating the existing shot, and I go in there, and I'm going to swap out. Instead of showing a camera, I'm just going to show, here it is. Full size. Ooh, yeah. Hold on, wait. This is for those at home. Look at the look in his eyes, too.
Oh, they're gonna love this.
All right, hold on.
Ready?
Boom. And then then I play the song really quick.
Story of the week. It's the story of the week.
All
I
right,
want it to
enough of
kind
that.
of be like fading in.
Do you?
Yeah.
I wish I could synchronize so that two computers would be. Anyway, Jordan Peele, who you knew about.
Yes, from Key and Peele.
Whatever
The
that is, I don't
television
know.
show.
But Jordan Peele is super funny, apparently. What he did, it's a he.
Yep.
Took The Shining and did. This has been circulating around the internet. I'm just finding out about this. But he did the entire Shining movie in emojis in a tweet. In one tweet. Using just emojis, he tells the entire story of The Shining. It's brilliant. It's
Some of them are
so
so good.
Brilliant. Oh my gosh. Jordan Peele. Hattie, can you get Jordan Peele on the show?
I think I actually could. I think I could.
You think Greg
I'm
is
gonna-
going to beat you to it?
Not possible. He's not in the chat room.
Okay, Grace, just so that you know, I have a short list of people that I really want on the show. Number 1 is Katy Perry. Number 2 is Chip Kelly, coach of the Eagles. Number 3 is Jay-Z.
And Joanna Stern was added to the
Joanna
list.
Stern, but he got her already.
Right. But that was that one with a bonus?
So, no,
credit?
no bonus for Joanna Stern.
Okay. Just your endless love for her.
Yeah, endless love, and because with
The movie Endless Love.
because with Joanna, I feel like she is sort of the if you do the Gilligan's analogy, Gilligan's Island analogy rather, title, Gilligan's Island analogy. You know, she's the brunette, not the redhead. But no offense, there's nothing wrong with a brunette. Brunette, you're happy for your whole life. Redheads will cheat on you. There's this great thing on Max Headroom. Have you seen this? The Verge did this last week. Did you see this? Did you
I don't
guys see
think so.
this? Do you even know who Max Headroom is?
I do.
Because of me, right?
Yes.
Well, they did the definitive oral history of Max Headroom. And boy, let me tell you, I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for Max Headroom. I got to be honest. Max Headroom was really strange 1980s phenomenon. It was a TV show. It was more than a TV show. It was he had an interview show that he did. He did Coca-Cola commercials. But this is like a behind the scenes. Look at this picture of him. This shows how the suit, because all of it's like this prosthetic. They didn't have
Right.
computer animation like we have now. They just didn't have it. So he had this suit that you could say almost like it was like a shiny fiberglass suit that screwed onto him. And it was really amazing. This shows everything behind the scenes, how he worked. Apparently he got like corneal lacerations from the weird contact lenses that he had to wear. How rude is that?
Yeah, that's not
It's
fun.
your main guy and you're giving him corneal lacerations. Look at him. That's a picture of them putting it into his eyes.
The theater of the mind.
The fiberglass piece that like fits down over the top of him is so
I want that.
it's so cool. It's
I
such
want
an
that.
interesting thing and it makes it look so strange that it's not just fabric. I don't
It's
know.
super shiny and it
Yeah.
fits. And like, because look, if you look at me right now, you're really just seeing from that height up.
Uh-huh.
That's
And
all
it
he
cuts,
was. That's
yeah.
all he was. And he moved around like this and it was just, anyway. He says, I don't know if you've ever had a lacerated cornea, but it's the worst pain I think I've ever felt. Oh, I can't even imagine.
Ugh, I don't like anything to do with eyes.
But if you're
like
as much
that.
of a Max Headroom fan as I am, and I'm a big Max Headroom fan, you've got to watch the little clips that they have here, and you've got to just enjoy this background information. He's super. I mean, I'm not kidding. Like for me, Johnny Carson, David Letterman, and to be honest, Max Headroom are like, I love that. Sometimes I feel like I am a digital caricature of myself a lot of the time. Is that weird?
A digital character of your
Caricature.
of your own self.
Of my own self, as you and my daughter both say.
Yeah.
my own self. Man, I'm excited about this week too. We've got we're doing the Big Lebowski. Me and
Big
Merlin
deal.
are doing that on April 9th. Oh my gosh, are you kidding? I'm going to do that and I've got to stay up till 2 a.m. the same night?
Well, you've already done the show, so it's fine.
I'll be exhausted.
You could stay up and watch the next movie that you're going to do.
Because my kid on his show convinced me that I need to get the Apple Watch. So now I got to stay up. I went from I'm not getting an Apple Watch to maybe I'll get one to I'm definitely getting one to now I'm staying up to get one in about 30 minutes. So let me tell you about TripCase. And speaking of TripCase, we got to talk about Mad Men a little bit. No spoilers. No spoilers.
So good.
Grace is flipping
So
out.
excited.
We should just haul off and do our show, the TV show.
I know. I think we can now that Grace is here.
Grace is excited about this.
See?
You want to put her on the mic?
Yeah.
You think she's ready? You think she's TV ready?
I think she's TV ready. TV ready.
TV ready.
You gotta get it right.
TripCase. Today's episode is brought to you by TripCase. This is a really, this is new to me. I have to be honest. This is a brand new app that I haven't been using. But with the way that I do some traveling, I think this is really going to be great. They've helped over 30 million people take trips last year. But here's how it works. They collect your flight info, your hotel info, and pretty much other trip items, anything else that goes along with your trip, into a single app that runs on your phone or your tablet. You get all the things. There have been separate apps that do all of this stuff. This app does it all. You get free flight notifications. So like you get delayed, you gate change, whatever, they tell you. They get support for Pebble and Android Wear, so you're always up to date. Uber integration. So it will automatically fill in your pickup and drop off locations based on your trip and show you the Uber rates all within the app. Tap it, get a ride. So it's eliminated like 3 apps already.
That's awesome.
I told you about the free flight alerts. If something changes, you get email notification or on your device. You can share your trip itinerary with a coworker or perhaps even a loved one. So you stop talking about, my flights got delayed, and you're just like, yeah, I'm there, I'm having fun. That's it. That's all you got to worry about. You can even do something, and this is the killer app that's stealing my app idea. It has a remember this place feature. So if you're like at a restaurant on your trip, you can tell it to
That's
remember
awesome.
it. And next time you go, it'll be like, oh, remember last time you ate at this place? You wanted to go back, get that sushi roll you liked so much? Whatever. It integrates the seat map stuff. That's all built into it. And basically all you do is you forward your like flight and hotel confirmation to TripCase, this special email address, and it automatically categorizes it. It's just great. They do everything. So there's a special URL that I would like for you to go to check this out. If you want to support this show, instead of stressing out how am I going to support the show every morning, waking up, gritting your teeth. You ever wake up, you're gritting your teeth like that because you're so stressed out about something?
Yep.
That's what people are doing, trying how to support this show without spending money.
I know that.
So all you have to do is go to tripcase.com/DBH. Tripcase.com/DBH. Going there will support the show. Try the app out, and thanks very much to them for supporting the show. I got a couple more news things to do, and then I guess I'll get our special guest for today. Are they on there? Did they ever reply to my Skype requests to get them on the show?
Yep, they're both ready and waiting.
Okay. We've got Bill Wadman,
Mhm.
and I'm supposed to say Jeffrey.
Right. I think it's good to make a difference between Jeffrey and Jeffrey.
Jeffrey Sidoris.
Jeffrey.
Who are
Do you hear
hosts.
it?
Yes. Say it again.
Jeffrey. Wrong. Jeffrey.
I had a cousin, Jeffrey, who was spelled normal Jeffrey, Jeff, but my grandma used to say Jeffrey. She add a syllable. I don't know why she did that.
I don't know.
I was Danny back then. I was. It's hard to
know.
believe. I used to have a soul and be a sweet person. Anyway, the new Apple TV will not be. Oh, by the way, they host a show
Yes.
called
On Taking
Pictures. Not on the grid. We did that.
Yep.
Different show.
Not OTG. This is OTP.
No, and yeah. whole different show and different people, I think.
And different theme and everything.
We'll see. But I don't know why Jeffrey says that he's an amateur photographer. His
we looked
stuff
up
is
some of his photography.
amazing.
Oh, man. Whew. Bill
Bill is a professional.
should be getting worried.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
You're going to take some work away from him?
I don't know.
Bill did take that amazing picture of pre-Wisdom Tooth Hattie,
Yes.
or Wisdom Tooth Hattie.
Mm-hmm. That's my nickname. Wisdom Tooth Hattie.
Wisdom Tooth Hattie. John Pakowski is talking about the new Apple TV and that it will not be supporting 4K video streaming. And people are just up in arms because so many people have 4K TVs and so many people have enough bandwidth to support 4K streaming. Oh my gosh, it's the end of the world. Apple's next generation Apple TV that's coming to market later this year won't support 4K. Wow, this is news, everyone.
What is it? White
This
people
is what-
problems or something?
First world problems?
Yeah.
Everything for you is a white person problem, if you think
If
about
I
it.
go out in the sun too long, I get a horrible sunburn.
Mhm.
Just not even too long. That's like 5 minutes.
Anyway, what is in 4K? Nothing. So the fact that they're not supporting 4K is not a big deal. I don't know why this even matters. People are talking about this. They have passionate feelings about this. So I plan to ask Jeffrey, and because I sound like my grandmother when I do that, or my mom. If you don't like it, you can go live with your father.
Best ever.
Sling TV says that it dropped, oh, little pun, it dropped the ball during March Madness. I still haven't talked about what happened. I'll wait
I
for
know,
them and get
I know.
them and get their take on it.
I think that's the best idea.
Sling TV screwed it up, screwed the pooch. Where's my
Yeah, where is that?
sound? Hold on, I gotta find it. I swear someone comes in here and changes things.
No. Grace just said it was her.
She can, where? Oh, right here. Sling TV screwed up and messed up all the people who were trying to watch Turner Network's broadcast of March Madness college basketball semifinals. Duke versus Michigan State, Wisconsin versus Kentucky. And they got either choppy or non-existent feeds. And listen to their response on this. Listen to this. We're sorry some basketball fans saw errors tonight due to extreme signups and streaming. Engineers rebalanced load across network partners. In other words, they screwed up.
And they didn't even take credit for it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry some of you were having a problem.
Yeah.
We didn't see a problem, but some of you
Right.
will address it. You had
Several
some.
people.
That's like 10. 10 people saw a problem.
And you know what's happening next weekend, Hattie? This coming weekend.
What?
Game of Thrones.
Yes.
And do you think HBO Go will stand up to Game of Thrones? this time?
I don't even know. What I always do every time Game of Thrones comes back is I hit record on I DVR it, and ahead of time I prepare it on my Apple
So
TV.
you've got a lot
So
of
I have it
fallback.
ready to hit play so that I'm already in the HBO Go app. I'm already into the series. I'm already clicked on Game of Thrones. You know, like I'm ready, because if you just turn on your TV and you go to the HBO Go right when Game of Thrones is starting, that's not going to happen.
No.
It's not going to happen. Oh.
Okay. You remember that one?
Oh.
Okay. What happened to that, Hattie?
I don't
It
know. I
used
was
to be
just tired.
funny.
I know.
You used
Back
to have
when
a
I was
sense
funny.
of humor.
Now I'm just tired and working on stuff.
Felons have been barred from constructing Apple's new campus.
It's a confusing title.
Yeah. So here's the deal. Apparently, there were some construction workers they've been working on the exterior of Apple's new Cupertino campus, the one that's shaped like a big, the big circle,
Spaceship.
the ring, the one ring to
Rule them all.
Rule them all.
One infinite ring.
You're going to make that the title, aren't you? They were asked to leave the site in January due to prior felony convictions. So if you have a felony, and here's the interesting thing is that it says here in this article, which is on SFGate, The ban is unusual for construction work, a field in which employers typically do not perform criminal background checks. Right, because if they did, we'd have no construction workers. Oh, just kidding. Just kidding. Okay.
What the frequencies?
I don't know what. Apple, because we joke on that show.
Yeah, I guess so.
Apple is always nervous. This is a quote. Apple is always nervous about preserving its proprietary information, and yet I don't know how this would affect that concern, said Michael Thuriel, president of Ironworkers Local Union 377. Our folks put the wire in the reinforcing bar of the building. It makes no sense to me. So, honestly, I can't imagine how much of a challenge it would be if you had a felony and had done your time and were back out and working and trying to get a regular job.
I don't know why they'd have a problem with that.
You know, like they did their time.
Right.
We rendered our judgment on them. They've done their time. Give them a chance. I think it's stupid. I think this is a stupid decision. I think this looks bad for Apple.
Yeah.
We don't know Apple has offered no comment.
I feel like Tim Cook will jump in on this eventually and have something to say. I hope.
So here's what they say. How do I pronounce this, Hattie?
Spell it.
Theriault. Thurialt.
That's your name.
Thuralt. Yeah.
Thuralt.
That's how
I'm going with Thuralt.
Yep.
Thuralt and Union Business Manager Dennis Meekin wrote letters to Apple CEO Tim Cook and State Attorney General Kamala Harris in January asking for a change to that policy, but have not yet received a direct response. Bob Thuralt and Meekin pointed out that formerly incarcerated workers have little representation in the tech industry, and the few positions they hold are largely through employment in services such as construction. Here's a quote, Apple's prohibition against employment of former felons or those with a pending felony charge does not fail to address inequality then, but amplifies it. Both men wrote in the letters. It is moreover an evil precedent. I'm surprised because, you know, you've got to go forward and say people have to be able to move on with their lives. And here's a little bit more of this story. Yip, I think, is the name of one of these people. Kevin Yip, 26, had been working on Apple's new campus for several weeks in mid-January. A manager told him, "Turn in your badge." When he said, "Why am I losing my job?" he was told it wasn't due to performance, but because he'd been convicted of a felony within the last 7 years. In 2008, he pled no contest to a felony charge of battery causing serious bodily injury. He says he was in a fight with him and a man's jaw was broken, but he didn't do it. He says it's not fair for people's past to come back and not to be able to support their family and stay out of trouble.
Right. If
with
you're
4
on the
years,
straight and narrow, then, you know, that's important.
he needs to get it. You would think Apple would give him a chance.
Also, I don't think it's fair to give them the job and then take it away. Maybe you could say, like, okay, from this point onward, we're not, you know, like, but to
I
take
think
away
that might be
jobs?
the
I don't
issue.
know.
Patty, I think you're right. I think you're onto something there. I
They've
think
already
that
given them a job. They've already approved them in some way to work on that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Now they're coming in, they're taking it away. I think saying, you know, here's the we're not hiring any felons. I don't know if that's legal to make that kind of discrimination. I have no idea. I think
a
if that's
lot
even
of places do that.
So assuming that that's legal, which we need a lawyer on here. Is Jeffrey a lawyer?
I don't think so.
If let's say that that's legal for the sake of argument, you can put out, we don't hire felons, right? You say that you put that out there, no felonies within the last 7 years. You put that out there, someone shows up, lies about it, you find out that they lied, then you get rid of them. I'm fine with that.
Right, because that's
a
more about the
policy.
lying than I don't even know how you would hide that. But
I don't know how you hide that. But you hide it. You hide it
Right.
and they don't do a background check, whatever. But here's what listen to what he says. He was earning $1,200 to $1,500 a week working for Apple, which in California I think is like a reasonable, you can live and support a family on that, I think. Now he lives with his parents in San Bruno and supports his 22-month-old son, Dominic, with $450 a week in unemployment. Quote, any job right now would be better than nothing, Yip said. I would do anything. I put my all into everything. So, you know what? I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this. I think it's wrong.
I think it's wrong too.
If they didn't put that out as a policy. They should have to do that as a
It
policy.
looks wish-washy. It's just not good.
And if Apple's going to implement this policy, then they should implement it across the board.
Right?
For
Does
every
the same
single
go
person
for their
working there.
employees?
Maybe it does. But that means, you know, if any of their employees have a felony within the last 7 years, they should all be fired today.
Right. If they're
Be
if that's what
consistent
they're
across
doing.
the board,
Right.
not just the construction workers. Every single person at Apple who's had a felony in the last 7 years today should be getting their pink slips. and escorted out of the building, no matter what position they have,
Banker's box.
no matter how important they are. Banker's box. Is that a term? Can you banker's box someone? Can you meerkat someone? If I can meerkat you, I sure as heck can bank box you.
I think that, yeah, that's a term, I think.
But so here's a picture of an Apple Watch. And I now have to buy one of these things. My son on his show convinced me to do it. We'll put his show into the show notes as soon as we are done with the artwork and get the show out there. But this means the announcement coming from this is that we're going to have. Now that is blowing me away.
Yeah. Can I use that?
Yes.
Font?
Yes.
Can I show the
No,
peeps?
it's going to be a surprise. Oh my gosh, what she just showed me
I can
blew
show
me away.
Grace.
Yeah, show Grace.
Uh-huh.
Oh, that little corner of it got in the screen. Oh. Anyway, now they're going to be coming out with this thing at 12:01. So it's I think of that as Thursday night, but technically it is Friday morning, the 9th. But it's still, you go to bed on Thursday night. Before the sun comes up, it still feels like it's the night, you know.
Yeah.
I get that it's not, but 12:01 Pacific time is when you can go buy your Apple Watch online, pre-order, for delivery or pickup on the 24th. Now I'm going to have to stay up because Grace was saying I've got to stay up. Don't even go to sleep.
Right, just stay awake.
At my age, once you're out of your 20s, staying up till 2 is a whole different thing. Then when you're 25, you stay up till 2. That's just Thursday night. No big deal. But when you're in your 30s, late 30s, 40s, staying up till 2 is like, that's a special, you're going to make provisions for that. I might need a cot, you know, or someone to bring water into me if I get parched. Anyway, I guess we got to get our guests.
Yeah. Let me grab them.
Yeah, please bring them in. We are joined today by the amazing Bill Wadman, who's a longtime friend of mine, and Jeffrey Sidoris, hosts of On Taking Pictures, a wonderful photography show on 5x5.
Hello, guys.
Hey, who's that?
It's Bill.
Bill Wadman, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Dan. How you doing?
Doing good. We are getting right now your co-host,
Oh, boy.
Jeffrey. He's on the West Coast, right?
Yeah. He's out in California.
Jeffrey.
Jeffrey.
He. I've been reduced to a pronoun.
Hello, here you are. Welcome to the show, Jeffrey.
Thank you.
Now, before we get
You've been
started,
hassling me about my name. I've been listening.
well,
I see how it is.
you know, first of all, your show is fantastic, and I love listening to it. I'm thrilled to have it here on 5x5 for a couple of years now. Has it been 2 years?
I think it's almost
how
3.
many
Almost
years?
Yeah.
3 years.
I think they joined right when I started working for you. Yeah.
Wow. Well, it's the best photography podcast on the internet anywhere, and
Thank you.
The show, in theory, is about Bill, the professional photographer, and Jeffrey, the amateur photographer. But I will say that both of you are some of the best photographers, whether you put the label professional or amateur, the best that I've ever met in my whole life.
Well,
Thank you.
Thank you for saying that. But I think it's funny because in many ways our show ends up being about so many things other than photography.
Right.
From a day-to-day thing. But, you know, hey, Dan, you mentioned you watched the Black Hole with Cash.
I did. I
Okay.
totally did. What did
Sorry to derail the conversation just for 1 second. I haven't thought about that movie in years. And I remember that movie freaked me out when I was a kid.
Which was the freak out part for you?
The scene at the end where the big robot guy was falling into the black hole and it's all very, you know, hellish and that whole thing, and he becomes the guy with the beard and the whole thing.
You're talking about Maximilian.
Thank you. That's just some disturbing stuff when you're a kid.
No,
you know?
it
There
really
he
is. It really is. There's a lot of disturbing stuff in the movie. It's mixed in with strange sort of comic relief of the robots, and then terrible things happening with the humans, and there are a lot of humans that are essentially like sort of big, I don't want to call them cyborgs, but they have been made to be like brain. They're sort of brainwashed, and they've got stuff hooked up to their brain, and it's just a
some
very
people mentioned that movie was supposed to be sort of Disney's reply to Star Wars and everything getting popular. But
Yeah.
man, it's a dark film.
Oh, it's terribly dark and terrifying on so many levels. So no,
Sorry,
I agree,
moving on. Sorry.
I agree with you. No, I agree with you. And there's certain things that are so comical about it that don't hold up at all. The effects were at the time seemed good, but like Vincent as a robot, and the robot battle at the end is sort of wimpy. But at the time, I remember anyway. But my point of watching it with him was to kind of get like his take on it to see if does it still hold up. And I don't want to ruin it, but the answer is not what you might think. But you guys, let's talk about your show. Come on.
Go ahead. Sorry.
You guys have been doing this. You're 153 episodes in now.
728 hours.
Are you kidding me?
man.
No. No.
It is over 220 something hours that you could listen to
Right.
us.
Right.
It's insane. You could listen 8 days a week for a month and a half or something. 8 hours a day, all for a month and a half, and
That's
not
great.
catch up.
That's
it's good. It's
awesome.
fun.
And you guys have a wonderful rapport together. And most of what you do is you talk about, you will pick, and correct me if I'm wrong because I'm paraphrasing, but you will pick a single Canon lens and talk about it for 2 hours at a time. That's basically
Well,
what the show
a
is.
single element within the lens.
Oh,
Oh.
Yeah.
I mean, we're deep.
yeah.
We're deep.
No, that's not. You guys get way, way beyond that, and you talk a bit about photography on each one. But it's really cool because you talk about not just the ins and outs of being photographers, but you talk about the frustrations of doing it sometimes, and you talk about you answer listener questions all the time. You talk about gear. You talk about the business of it, and how this is something that you can enjoy as an amateur or make a living at as a professional. And how do you keep that fresh after 153 episodes and 700 hours? How do you do that?
It's funny. I think we have talked, for so long about so many topics, but invariably, it comes down to the day we're going to do the show on Tuesday mornings, and we're like, oh yeah, I was thinking about X, and it's like, wow, we haven't really discussed that, so let's dive deep into that, and we do dive deep, and it's funny because there's a lot of times, I mean, we argue on the show, we disagree, there's a lot of back and forth, but I don't think one of the good things about it, I think, is that we don't really pull any punches.
Right.
We each say what we feel, and I think that leads to an authenticity. We've got a Google Plus group. How many people are in there now? 1,400 people or something like
Close
that?
to 1,400. Yeah.
Yeah, and our listener group, they're just fantastic, and they talk amongst themselves after we're done and post stuff on assignments that we give them every week. But I don't know, it's an endless sort of question, because I think a lot of the things that we talk about don't have any definitive answers, right? It's just sort of where on the continuum you want to sit at any particular time.
It's so much that you guys have done collectively as photographers, and yet each week you will find a photographer of the week and talk about them and their work. How do you go about selecting the photographer of the week?
You want to get
Some
that
of
one?
them come from listeners. In fact, quite a few of them come from listeners.
Yeah, especially lately. Yeah.
Yeah, some Bill finds, some I find, some we just sort of happen upon. I've learned a ton about photographers that I've not heard of before doing the show and doing Photographer of the Week. You kind of tend to learn the big names, the Avedons, the Pens, but it's often the people that you haven't heard of that are doing work that's equal to or even more interesting than the people that you have heard of.
Yeah, I think part of the thing is that if you have a particular interest, for example, I'm a portrait photographer, so I look at a lot of portrait photography, but there will be a botanical photographer or a landscape photographer or a travel photographer that it just doesn't cross my path because I'm not looking for it. And when those come in, you could change your perspective. And I feel like you try, as, if you're into this stuff and doing it, you're looking at each of these photographers and saying, what can I learn from that guy? How is his perspective interesting? Can I take that, a little piece of that, and put it in my toolkit? So it's fun. And a lot of the people, like Jeffrey said, I mean, most of the people that we show as Photographer of the Week, a lot of them are older people or dead people, sort of like a historical thing it started out as.
Right.
But now it's gotten into all kinds of, modern people as well. So yeah, it keeps it interesting, keeps it fresh,
Well, it does, and you guys have a great job. I mean, again, anytime that I have a guest on here who's done something so consistently for so long, regardless of whether it's something that's money making or not. In other words, you guys are probably not getting rich from making this show. You're doing it because you love it. You're doing it because I would guess, and from listening to you guys as often as I do, it seems like it's something that adds to your own sort of level of inspiration. And making a podcast is very trendy now, but you guys have been doing this, right here in the scope of this show since May of 2012.
Right.
Yeah. And
well, I mean, a lot of these conversations are conversations that Bill and I have anyway.
Right.
And it's a lot of the listeners appreciate that it's almost like we're just hitting the record button on these conversations that we would have anyway.
Right.
We talk offline about the same things that we talk online about.
Yeah. In fact, sometimes we'll be on the phone. I'll call him as I'm walking down the street thinking about something, and he'll be like, "Damn, I wish we could just hit record on this. This would be really
Right.
good for the show."
Right.
Yeah.
The other interesting thing I think is that, I mean, if you go back, I would imagine, I haven't gone back and listened, but I would imagine that if you went back and listened to episode 50 or episode 100, now we're at 150, where we are as people and where we are as artists or where we are as photographers has changed over that time. We are not stuck in time, stuck in a place. So we have adapted as time goes on. And that's also fun for a lot of people to hear too.
Have you done that? Have
come
you
along with the
guys,
journy with us.
like, have you listened, Bill? We'll start with you. Have you listened back to any of your old shows and been like, wow, what was I talking about? I was completely off base there. Or do you feel, because like I'll listen to older shows that I've done and I'll be like, what was I talking about? I was so wrong.
Yeah, I mean, most of the time I go back, it's not that I will think that I'm wrong. It'll just be I'll think, oh, I remember when that used to be my point of view, but that's a kind way of putting it. But but that's kind of part of the fun, right? We're all evolving creatures and life is about change. And so that's kind of half the fun of it. And some people come in and they say, I just found your show. I'm going to start from episode 1. And it's like, well, how many are you listening to a week? Because
But this is what's nice about your shows in particular. And Jeffrey, I want to ask you about this, is when you started doing this show, photography is one of those things, like I could take my, maybe my granddad's, but certainly my dad's camera and go out and take amazing pictures with that, just as well as I could go and buy the latest, greatest digital SLR or use my iPhone if you want to talk about that. You know what I'm saying? Like the tools have changed a lot, but it's not like they've become obsoleted. I don't hear anybody saying, oh, you know what? That your dad's camera, 35 millimeter, you got to throw that out. That's obsolete. What is your take on keeping this sort of fresh, but keeping it alive regardless of the tools? Because if you're a professional, like, again, I'm using the air quotes professional. If you're a professional photographer, you can say, well, I need to go buy this new equipment because I need to stay up to date, or I'm doing this kind of shoot and I need to do this certain kind of shoot. Whereas when you're an amateur, again, air quotes amateur, it's harder to justify going out and getting that newer equipment. Or is this a challenge? Is this something you guys have talked about on the show?
I think we have. I mean, most of our listeners are amateurs. In fact, percentage-wise, very few of them are making a living as photographers.
Right.
So the subject matter, the gear, those become really secondary to just going through the process of creating and refining your vision and finding a point of view and finding a style, whatever those things mean to you. And there are shows that cater to talking about gear, and I'm sure their audience is probably a little different than ours. We do have people that like gear, but by and large, the people that listen to the show are sharing in the journey, the struggle, the work of what it means to find a voice and almost sort of let the world know, look, I'm here and this is my point of view.
Yeah. I think even in our group, Jeffrey, there's a handful of people who only shoot black and white film.
Right.
Right.
And that's all they do. That's all they put up. They think everyone else is crazy for using anything newer than that. And then there's people all the way on the other end of the spectrum who are just shooting with their phones and don't even own a real camera,
right.
A real camera, quote unquote,
Yeah. That's a good point.
It's interesting. And when people write in sometimes in the Q&A, I have this, I want to get that. Am I crazy? It's like, well, you're not crazy. There's lots of reasons to get some new great doodads shiny thing, but like anything, right? Like if, it's the same thing. If you got what's that microphone you have there, Dan? You got a new mic,
right? Yeah.
Like
yeah.
could be using your PR40, but you chose a different mic for this one. No
Right,
big deal, right?
right.
You know, so it's like, but does it change your show? No, it's just a microphone.
Right.
You know,
Right.
So I think there's a lot about that, and I think that's kind of what makes it fun. We have a lot of people who don't even take pictures. They're painters, or they are writers, or they are, you know, because a lot of these questions are the same questions regardless of the medium.
Sure,
Right.
sure. There's definitely a universal kind of appeal to just this, and again, we go back to that word struggle, because on a lot of levels, creating something from nothing is a struggle, or creating something from something else is a struggle.
Right.
And that shared struggle is universal across whatever discipline you happen to be in, you know. And we get fantastic emails from listeners, not just, hey, love the show, although we do get those, but, you know, pages of people talking about events in their lives, or working through issues. And there's a connection to the audience that I think lets us know that we're not personas, that we're people, and they're connecting to that.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. There's an intimacy with a lot of our listeners that is really kind of intense. But again, that's what makes us different than the next guy, you know.
For sure.
But that's, you know, something exciting always every week, you know.
Well, it is, and you know that's the thing that I think you're really touching on, and listening to you guys talk now, and of course on the show as well, is that you are all still both very excited about photography and about taking pictures, and it's always really refreshing to hear that. It's easy, I think, for me anyway, to get burnt out on things, and you guys really keep this fresh, and it's awesome. So if the folks listening would want to follow you or interact with you, obviously 5by5.tv/OTP for On Taking Pictures, OTP. And then you guys are each on Twitter. Bill, you are Bill Wadman, BILL WADMAN. Yep. And Jeff Furry, JEFFERY SADDORIS.
Thanks, Mom and Dad.
So both of those will be in the show notes. And you guys are very responsive on Twitter. And why is there that extra E in the Jeffrey in that way? JFFR. I mean,
I don't know.
I'm not giving you a hard time about it. I just think it's something you could change.
It's something I could change. Well, and you know, it's funny. My parents were apparently very confused, because my father, I had the same middle name as my father, Allen, Allen.
Uh-huh.
But my father spelled his middle name wrong his entire life. On his birth certificate, it's Alan, but he always spelled his own middle name Allen. And then my mother named me after my father, but that was incorrect. So
right.
I don't know what they were
changing
thinking.
his name. He's like the OG hipster, you know, with the Allen.
Right.
I like that. I'm down
Right.
with it. Well, listen, guys, you guys do a fantastic show, and
Thank you.
And I want everyone who listens to this show to give it a shot. And it's like they said, you don't have to be a photographer. You can just listen to two people passionate about what they're doing, talking about it every week. So both of you, thank you very much for being here, and I hope that some listeners do check out your show. It's great, and please keep doing it. Please keep.
Thank you. Thank you for having us, Dan.
All right, guys.
Will
Thank
do.
you.
Bye.
Thank you.
See you, Dan.
Bye. Jeffrey was very concerned before we started the show. He kept in an email. He says, "Is it video, or can I be in my pajamas?" Because it's very early. So an extra thanks to Jeffrey for being here. It is very early over
Right,
there.
it was easy for
8 a.m.
Bill.
Yeah, Bill's been up
For
probably 4 hours already.
yeah.
Just walking around New York. I'm in New York. I'm a big shot, whatever. Let me tell you about Wealthfront. Wealthfront is the automated investment service that makes it easy to invest your money the right way. You set it and you forget it. If you're young and you're earning some cash, you got some quick cash. You probably thought about, I should be investing, but I don't know how to do it. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. Well, they will help you with that. But it's not just for them. If you've already got an investment portfolio that you want to change how you're investing it, or you want to set it and forget it, they're going to help you do that. Instead of going and taking the time to meet with people in person and sit down in their stuffy office and put on a suit and tie and like bring stacks of paperwork and get their opinion, you can do better. You can go to Wealthfront and they will invest it for you. You fill out a quick little portfolio questionnaire and says, here's how I want to invest. I'm aggressive or not so aggressive, or this is what I like. And you can change at any time, but that will become your profile that they'll use to decide how to invest. And they charge only 0.25% per year. That's less than a quarter the cost of a traditional investment advisor, which is a big deal. And they manage over $2 billion in client assets right now, and that's growing over 20 times in the last 2 years, as a matter of fact. So they've set up a special URL. If you go to this URL, you will get your first $10,000 managed for free. That's really cool. And it's just for 5x5 listeners. So go to wealthfront.com, wealthfront.com/5x5. As usual, just going there will show them that you are listening to the show and encourage them to continue to support the show. But it'll also do you a tremendous favor in that you can get your money managed very effectively. So thanks again to wealthfront.com/5x5 for supporting this show. And now I'm legally required to read you this disclaimer that maybe I should record this one if I get it right.
I think you can do it. I'm
I always
hopeful.
seem to stumble in the beginning.
It's like the first when
The
you say
first
Wealth Front.
Because Wealthfront, it's
Red
a great
leather,
name, but
yellow leather.
yeah.
You do some tongue twisters and then you
Red,
can...
red, yellow, or white. What kind of onion do you want? That's an inside joke.
Oh, gosh.
I'll never tell that story. I still haven't told my story about the car. I'll
Well,
tell it right after. I was
okay.
going to do it with those two guys, but I didn't do it. And let me take a little drink of water first.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm ready. Wealthfront Inc. is an SEC registered. Oh, see? I can never get past the first part every time. Wealthfront Inc. is an SEC registered investment advisor. Brokerage services are offered through Wealthfront Brokerage Corporation, member FINRA and SIPC. This is not a solicitation to buy or sell securities. Investing in securities involves risk, and there is a possibility of losing money. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. Please visit wealthfront.com to read the full disclosure. And thanks to Wealthfront.
Yeah, that was really good.
So here's the situation. Was that good, Grace? Pretty good, right? I've done better. I've done much better. So this morning I was leaving. I was pulling out of the driveway. Now, I haven't complained about this on the show because I wanted to be optimistic, and I was hoping very much that this would go away, and it hasn't gone away. It hasn't gone away. My next-door neighbors, recently, they sold the house and moved out. The woman that was living there got a bit older, and I think she's living with their family. So they sold her house, and the new owners, who I haven't actually met yet, unfortunately, but they seem like lovely people, have begun some kind of remodeling process. All that's fine. That's going to happen. You live somewhere, your neighbors are going to do some remodeling.
It happens.
It's not a big deal. It's just going to happen. You deal with it. But this white piece of crap trailer, I don't know what to call it. It looks like a food truck, but it doesn't sell food. What do you call it?
That's the
It's
most
just a trailer,
disappointing thing
right?
ever.
It's just a piece of crap trailer.
Yeah. Where it's like it's got two wheels on the back.
Yes.
And then
The front is
the
like
double
on a-
white doors. You
Yes.
open. Yeah.
And the front's like up on a block or something. I don't know. And it's got ladders, strapped to the sides of this piece of crap. And I hate this thing. And it's, like technically it's not on my property line. Technically it's not on my property line. But it's right there, man. It's right there. So anytime I want to pull in and out of the driveway, I got to pay extra attention to this thing. This piece of crap. Now, I'm fine if you park it there while you're working.
But they
Speaking
can
of
get their-
construction workers who deserve a felony, this should be a felony. This should count as a felony. Because they don't take it away at the end of the day. They leave it there in front of my house. Okay? And I live in a pretty nice neighborhood, right? Not like fancy neighborhood, but it's a nice family neighborhood.
Yes, it's for families.
And the streets are not so wide that we can accommodate this piece of crap trailer. And they put it there basically in front of my house to the point where it doesn't technically prevent egress from my driveway, but it makes it more of a challenge.
Or egrets.
That either. And this thing, they got the ladders tapped. Now, I finally saw the guys working on it, so they're like using it, but they just keep all their crap in it. And all weekend long, and the guys are not working there on the weekends. They're not working there on the weekends, Grace. They're not there on the weekends. They're not there after 5 o'clock. And yet the trailer sits there all night long. And the trailer sits there all weekend long. So
my vote is you have to park it on your physical lawn. That's what I would do. I would say get it off the street, park it in,
you know what?
or just in the driveway.
Or you know what? In the driveway.
Is
How
it a
about that?
two-car garage, two-car driveway?
Oh, they could fit it in their driveway just fine. It could fit in the driveway fine. There's no problem with putting it in the driveway. It's in front of my house, though.
Yeah.
So I've been calm, very calm about it. I haven't
Until
said
now.
anything about it. So I emailed the lady and I asked her, is there a rule? Can I get a ruling on this? Is this okay to do before I get all bent out of shape about it? Is it okay to do this in general in the neighborhood? Is there a homeowners association? I don't know. And the answer is, well, there is a homeowners association and it does govern how things work, but it might not on your street because I'm on a side street where homeowners membership is optional or some crap. Whatever. I don't even know. I just wanted to know, is it okay to leave a abandoned trailer in front of someone else's house? Because I'll tell you what, if that thing moves a little bit and winds up hard on my property line, if I can run a chalk line down, I'm calling the cops instantly and get that thing towed. If someone has abandoned something in front of my... Anyway, we're not to that point yet. But this is why I bring this up. This morning, I've got my kid in the car and we're going to school. And unless there is some kind of life or death situation,
Oh yeah, you
I'm
don't
not
stop.
I'm not stopping. You know what I'm saying? I'm not having a conversation with someone. This is not get to know your neighbor time. This is not talk about what's going on in the
This
neighborhood
is we're
time.
late to school.
Like, I have things timed so specific. So specific. In the morning when I'm leaving. From when my feet need to hit the carpet to when I need to be in the shower to when I need to be downstairs to when he needs to have his bag in the car to when we need to be back out of the driveway. I've got it timed to a second. There will be no deviation unless there is a life or death emergency. Nothing will stop because I don't want him to get another tardy. We're right on the edge. So,
and he doesn't have a control over it. Not really.
right, if he's tardy, it's not his fault. When he's in high school, if he's tardy,
Right, that's
he's
on
got to
him.
deal with that. It's on his head. But right now, it's on me. And I will not have my son be tardy again. So, as I back out of my driveway, egress is not very much prevented by this, but I back out
You
of the
have to
driveway.
maneuver.
And as I start to go forward, I see that my neighbor kind of diagonal across the street, and they are across from this piece of crap trailer.
Right.
Okay? White trailer should be the title of this
White
episode.
trailer. The white trailer.
They are pulling, and you know how you do the thing where, like, sometimes if you pull out of your driveway, maybe you're waiting for your family member, your kid or whatever to, like, catch up with you and come into where you are. You know, like you're waiting for them to run out of the house and up into the car or something. So they kind of do the thing where they pull over, they come out of their driveway, but then they immediately pull over to the side, right? And I'm thinking, oh, they're waiting for someone or something like this. And then the guy sticks his hand out, and he does this kind of thing, which I interpret as, I understand that you have everything timed to the exact minute, and that I'm not going to get in your way and prevent you from getting to your kid to school on time. So I interpret this signal, this thing right here, right?
It's like, oh, hey, yeah, go around
That
me.
means like go around me. It doesn't like if I'm doing this thing, that means like come over here.
They're
If I do
waving
if I
towards
do
you.
this thing, that means just, like hang out or stop.
Or when somebody goes like this, when they kind of like lean out of their car and they're like, hey.
Well, he was not doing that.
right. I feel like you have to make eye
He was
contact
just doing this
or
thing.
attempt it.
Which means hey, like I'm busy, go around me, dude.
Right. Like, don't worry about me.
So I go around, I start going around him. And as I'm going around him, I look over and I see then the expression on his face is kind of like,
Oh,
Like,
no, I missed him.
you wanted to tell me something.
You're
now
not close with this fellow.
I think I've spoken to him a number of times. And so my windows of the car, because I live in Texas, they're tinted, and they're tinted
like-
to the legal limit. So that's when you
It's
go and
too
you get
hot.
your things. You say, I want it tinted to the legal limit. However dark you can make it, that's how dark I want it to be. Please make it very dark. So I'm not sure if he could see in or not. His window was down, obviously, with his hand out. But I'm not sure if you could even see into my car. or
Right.
not.
If you were looking or not. You
If
could
you
have
were
been
looking
looking
from
down.
his car.
You could be looking back at your house.
So I'm hoping he didn't see that I was looking at him. He might have. But anyway, I didn't know that. So I keep going because at this point now, I'm like, oh, maybe he wanted to tell me something. And a good neighbor would have stopped the car, maybe gotten out, maybe gone to see what he wanted. But I'm on a schedule. I've got to get him. He's not getting another tart. I've got to time to the minute. To the minute. There's no accommodations for talking to your neighbors built into my schedule. It's hard enough to just get him to put his shoes on in the morning. That takes forever. Put your shoes on. Just put them on. I asked you to put them on. Put them on. Why is that so hard to put your shoes on?
I don't know.
So then I'm driving and I'm like, okay, maybe he was just looking. Maybe he's just looking at my car. I don't even know if he's just looking. And then as I'm halfway down the street, I see him and now he's flashing his brights. So you were saying, Hattie, maybe there was like a coffee mug sitting on top of the car or something.
But see,
But there wasn't.
Yeah.
There wasn't. And my license plate was fine. I looked at the car after I dropped him off. Everything's fine. My car's fine. No problem with my car. So then I started to think, what does he want, you know?
Right. What could he
possibly have to tell me? Nothing. Except I think he thinks that trailer's mine.
Oh.
You see? I think he's complaining because his egress is prevented.
Mm-hmm.
It would be a big pain for him to deal with that. And he's probably wanting to talk to me thinking it's mine because it looks like it's in front of my house. And now I'm hoping he calls on it and gets it towed out of there. So my question for you guys in the audience and the listening audience is, what do you think you want and what should I do about this? Do I now have to go over there after work today because I'm not tired enough? Now I got to deal with his complaint about something that's not mine? I'm pretty sure that I never aggressively like tailgated him or anything.
Right, like
what if that's what it's
you
about?
always
What
have
if
to
like
think
I was
about that.
I accidentally I was driving too close one time and he got upset and he recognized my car. Like now I definitely don't want to go over there. I don't think that's it because I don't really do that. But I'm thinking I'm trying to come up with that other
like
thing.
What could I possibly have done?
What could it be? So anyway,
I don't know.
tell me on Twitter at Dan Benjamin. He lives across the street. He's a nice guy. I mean, there's no problem. We don't have any problems.
No.
But
I
I'm
think
worried
if he was
about it.
angry, he would have tried much more.
The expression on his face was not anger at all. It was more like, I was going to ask you a question. What's this thing? Anyway, that's all I got for today. Thanks very much for tuning in. Thanks to our sponsors, Tripcase. Is it Tripcase, Hattie? Tripcase.com/DBH, wealthfront.com/5x5. I am at Dan Benjamin on Twitter, and you can listen to this show and watch it live. You can see the inside, behind-the-scenes stuff as we record the show live with our handful of cameras right here by going to danbenjamin.com/live at 11 Eastern, 10 Central, 8 Pacific. We're here every day, 5 days a week, just for you. And then you can download the show from danbenjamin.com or 5x5.tv and subscribe. And last thing I want to ask you to do, please rate the show on iTunes. Rate it. Give it as many stars as you think it deserves, which is 5. That will help new listeners find the show. And those of you who are doing that, we sure do appreciate it. Thank you very much. And we will be back again tomorrow, Tuesday at 10 a.m. Central, 11 Eastern, 8 Pacific. See you then. Goodbye, video people. They get a little extra.